Question, is it still considered review bombing if all those premature reviews turn out to be accurate? Oh, that's right, according to Screen Rant and Mark Ruffalo, those negative reviews are based on the lead of this series being female and not based on the actual quality. Well, today we're going to put that theory to the test. Let's discuss. Yes, Queen! Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So at the start of episode 2, Jennifer's not-so-secret alter ego has gone public. This caused her to lose the case she was working on and get fired from her job as a lawyer because she is a distraction. Those misogynist pricks. She-Hulk episode 2 also continues the tired MCU trend of making fun of superhero names. At this point, they are obsessed with it, really. At first, they probably thought it was pretty clever.
Ha ha, very funny, motherfucker!
But now it just comes off like, okay, we get it. You think the source material is shit. You don't need to convince us. You prove it every single time you make a new Disney Plus show. I mean, you've already ruined Hulk 10 times over. There's no need to make fun of the good Hulk and She-Hulk names. But you know, they can't take anything seriously, so we'll just do it for the lulz. And yes, of course, Jen takes issue with her name being a derivative of her male cousin counterpart's name. Well, here's an idea. If they actually wrote the character better like they did in the comics, you might be able to form your own identity.
That makes sense.
But that takes too much effort, let's be honest. So yeah, you're just a derivative of the shitty MCU Hulk now. Congratulations. There's a family dinner scene that pretty much amounts to nothing, other than another quirky conversation about some inconsequential aspect to an established hero. Namely, this time, Hawkeye and what happens to his arrows. Brilliant writing, isn't it?
This is whack! I can't get jiggy with this shit!
I'd say never change MCU, but we know that you won't, so let's move on. Oh, and she also gets a pep talk from her father, and much to my surprise, she listens. There's a first time for everything. Eventually, she gets a new job offer where she is offered the lead position of a new superhuman law division. But there's one catch. Well, actually, there's two catches, but more on that in a moment. They want She-Hulk as the face of the division, and not Jen. Let me guess, the rest of this season is going to be dedicated to Jen finding herself and earning her worth as a regular old lawyer again. Cue the I'm more than just a big green monster dialogue.
Something very familiar about all this.
The other catch is that her first client must be the Abomination, who is attempting to appeal his parole. Jen claims that this is a conflict of interest because Abomination tried to kill her cousin. No, actually, he tried to kill the real Hulk, that being Edward Norton.
I felt like destroying something beautiful.
So she meets up with Tim Roth in a Hannibal Lecter cell, and there's some BS about haikus because, you know, Abomination writing poems is funny, y'all. Emil blames the government for his Abomination rampage, and frankly, I agree with him. Jen's hesitation eventually turns into intrigue, but she tells him that she still needs to think about it. Next, she calls her cousin because clearly she values his opinion, and Bruce says he's over it because Emil once wrote him poems, and he was literally a different person back then. Okay, now they're just stealing my Edward Norton material. Jen, of course, admits that she was taking the job anyway because fuck Bruce.
Fuck you!
And right after she takes the job, we see a news report that Abomination at one point or another escaped from jail and was fighting in an underground fight club in another Marvel movie last year. You ever get the impression that they just use certain characters without a real plan and then just make up bullshit later about how it makes sense? I don't know how the timeline lines up at this point, nor do I give a shit, but if there's one thing that I can appreciate about this week's episode of She-Hulk, it's this. At the very least, it was even shorter than last week's episode.
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Surely it's not because the writers weren't creative enough to come up with enough material to justify 60-minute episodes, right? Nobody, including myself, appreciates your sarcasm, man baby. Here's an idea. If you don't like She-Hulk, then just don't watch it. As Queen Bree would say, it wasn't made for you anyway. Maybe it's time you leave your mother's basement and touch grass, incel. Green grass. Green just like all the money that She-Hulk is going to make for Disney Plus. Yes, Queen!
Y'all be cool. Right on.